Hi everyone, good morning. We are on day 2 already of 7 and 7. Last day of the conference, but if you guys have been having some amazing and powerful conversations with people in this room that have inspired you to live and work differently as being a digital nomad, I want to hear you say aloud, woohoo, right now. Woohoo. Good feedback, right? Right there for you guys. All right, so the reason why I was really interested to contribute, to be a participant, as well as being a speaker for this event is because I really believe, and Kit and I talked about this when she was calling me months ago to come here, was that this conference was going to talk about topics and subjects that matter to us as individual digital nomads. The one thing that we hear a lot in the community of digital nomads are things around passive income, how to make money while you sleep, while you lay in a hammock on a beach, right? And what's the latest hack on how to, hack your way into 10,000 Twitter followers? We've heard that all. So even I think Nick and I were joking about like having a sort of swear jar thing where if anyone mentioned like make money while you sleep or the F word, not fuck, the word funnels, we will put the fine into the swear jar. So today, I want to speak on a topic that I really believe that we don't talk about enough when it comes to kind of living this almighty life of the digital nomad, and that is how do we create our own unique body of work? So, one of the things that, the 4-hour work week, right, Tim Ferriss, our grandfather of the digital nomad, didn't tell us is this. How do we not only make sure that we are creating careers that are financially sustaining us in the long run, but also sustains us on a personal level, when it comes to fulfillment, satisfaction, and meaning behind our work? And that might be the reason why some of us left corporate in the first place and are still on that path of discovering that for ourselves. So, the one thing that I also want to tell you is that you now get this amazing gift, right? This freedom to really define your own career, right? For the first time in your life, you're not being told what to do. And that can be kind of fucking scary at times, isn't it? Yeah, no rules to follow, but all of a sudden you're in charge. So you define your own career right now by choosing work, right? The ideas that you want to create and people that you want to partner with, right? And these are the things that you choose to pursue on a daily basis. And I do want you to know that everything that you are creating today and for the foreseeable tomorrow, and how you transform people and your surroundings every single day, how it impacts the world with your footprint really is your body of work. So why do we need to kind of think about this? Why should it matter to you? So the first thing we talked about was about sustainability. And having a body of work allows you to create that sustainability that really goes beyond your products and your services, right? And by doing this, what you're doing is you're creating this flexibility around your career, right? Not to be pigeonholed only to what you're creating today. And that helps you stay flexible because in your industries, in this business world that can be ultra competitive, it changes so frequently these days with growing trends. It allows you to really rely on more than just your products and really have a maximized value in the marketplace by having more than just the things that you create. So the U.S. Labor Department says that the average American will go through about 10 to 15 different jobs in their lifetime. And if you're a millennial, any millennials in this room? Probably like half of these people. Millennials, that number doubles because we now live in this digital world where everybody is seeing more information, more ideas that are flowing in social media, and having more opportunities to have this sort of FOMO, happening all the time, very distracting with all these ideas floating around. So you might even change jobs even more frequently. And by the time that most of us reach the age of 38, we would have averagely gone through about 3 to 5 different career changes, and that could be even in different industries. So what does that tell us? I think that tells us that, human beings crave variety. We crave change, and we also crave the ability to expand into different ways of self-expression, different ways of creating and delivering value into the world, and ultimately, what I believe in is different ways to make a living. And you as entrepreneurs, you might be freelancers and creatives in this room, I bet that you're creating or craving the same things too in your businesses. So in today's creative economy, it requires us to create, right? To create often because of all that change that's happening in the world. But in order for us to create, we kind of need to feel that inspiration and that motivation that is going to instigate the right actions to create our next big thing. So if we are to redefine work, right, stop trying to escape work and really find work that we actually want to do where we don't have to take off that mask between professional me and real me, we have to kind of redefine how we look at our work, how we perceive our skills and our strengths. And that means that requires you to learn how to blend your experiences, not separate them. How to blend your skills, not to only, again, be this one-trick pony of one or two things that you know how to do, but really being able to upskill, to add intangible soft skills like your personality and strengths that are not the thing that people buy, but absolutely makes the difference for your skills to be different than your competitors. And also to combine and blend your accumulated knowledge. Right? As you do this journey, you self-develop as humans, and so will your business. So having that opportunity to kind of infuse your upgraded knowledge and things that you learn along the way with your business will allow you to create the variety, that sort of, change and different things that you can put into your business brand without, again, losing track of where to go for your destination. So the question that I want to challenge you to ask yourself today is this. What do you want to be known for? In other words, how do you want to make other people's lives meaningfully better? So you can start by thinking about your life experience that you've had so far, however many years that you've been alive. What do you think is the strongest problem that you can solve with what you're capable and called to solve today? How has your life experience led you to a particular destination today to be more aware of a particular message that you want your work to ripple effect into, however many types of businesses or projects that you put your hands on? Okay? You can even think about, what pain have you struggled with? Like certain things that you've gone through and overcome on a personal level. Has that given you a clue as to what you may be designed to do to kind of go back in time and help yourself, right? Help someone just like you with what you've known today. Think about conversations that you want to be meaningfully contributing to. What excites you to talk about, on a daily basis? So I hope that some of these questions is really going to help you to start spinning the wheels a bit in your brain, right? To help inspire you to imagine what you may believe your core theme of your body of work may be. And your core theme really is this common link, right? It's a common link that is kind of binding your work projects and your ideas. And this common link really represents how you are being in each of these projects. So how do you feel? What type of strengths and skills are you utilizing? What makes you most proud to contribute to in those different projects? It also combines really the experience that you want to create, for yourself and for other people that are involved in these projects, your customers and your partners as well. And also how to, it represents this link of the values, right? These common values that you want to represent that's kind of in a way common across the board with all of these projects. People aren't surprised when you release something new. It really makes sense for that next thing to be created. So you may right now or will be thinking about having different products, right, and different services into your business. And that is okay because a business really is just a vehicle, right? It's like a car. It can have a minivan one day, a convertible one day. It gets to the same destination. Just depends on the vehicle you choose today. So, that's all right to have kind of multiple things that you might be working on. But behind every project, every idea, every business that you create, there is, or there can be, this sort of stronger, higher purpose, bigger meaning that really ties that bind your work together. So one of the things that I do with my clients when I work with them on kind of getting to that core theme, because most of the time people come to me and they say, I just want to know what to do next or what to say no to and what to say yes to and how do I build this foundation of my business. Well, the first thing we need to kind of get into to get to the theme is we start to identify a value statement. Okay, you guys can kind of try writing this down as I speak about it. So it starts with, who do you want to help? What do you want to help that person do or feel or experience or change or transform, right? What can they now do before you, right? What can you help them do? And so what? Why does it matter to them and to the people around them? So let's say your value statement sounds like this. I want to help women find their voice and their truth so that they can share their gifts into the world. Right? Something simple, very high level, can be very expandable and implemented into different ideas. So it doesn't really matter if, let's say, one of your roles is like being a ghostwriter for a women's first memoir, for a first novel or a book. It also wouldn't matter if you had a different role that was, let's say, being a trainer, right, for women that want to run and facilitate their first retreat or their event or a workshop to teach what they know into the world. Or even a third role, right, being some sort of story crafter of someone's keynote or a speech like this for their first TEDx talk, maybe. It doesn't matter because there is a common heartbeat that beats through all these projects. And if sometimes finding a more summarized word to describe this value statement or a theme, it can sound maybe something like, courageous visibility for women. And you almost want to use this as your Northern Star, right, a beacon, where you kind of measure all your ideas and all your projects towards and making sure that that's the theme of everything that's leading to, how you talk about your work, who you help leads to that particular destination. So I want to share with you a business that I've been following personally for the last 2 to 3 years. And it is a business that has gone beyond, right, their products and their services. And in my opinion, really advanced in their industry when they were first kind of being the new kid on the block. So this is Hubud. Everyone familiar with the Hubud brand? Cool. Okay. You're doing well, Renee, with your branding. People know you here. Okay, so Hubud has been like my second home for the last 3 years because I've been living in Bali. And, it is a beautiful space. Like, this picture really doesn't do it any justice. It's like surrounded by paddy fields. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. But I think Hubud knew that they couldn't just rely on a beautiful space, because there are beautiful spaces, right? Co-working spaces around the world popping up. This movement is growing, tons of people getting into the market. And lots of co-working spaces really are in just as exotic place as Bali, right? Internet is getting better around the world, even in remote places like Ubud used to be. So in due time, perhaps the motivation to get a co-working pass may not be as motivating as it is today. So Hubud really needed to decide to be more than just a co-working space. So the conversation that Hubud wanted to contribute to and the core theme of where they want their body of work to be was through being, a way of changing the way that people view how they live and how they work in the future of work. So they kind of use their community as an experiment most of the time and in a way do a lot of case studies around their members. And this also means that Hubud is involved in opportunities that are beyond selling desks at their co-working space, and instead be a part of alternative solutions that really, really help guide and affect the decisions that individuals, remote workers, and even organizations that are making in this sort of transition into the modern day future of work. So the vehicle that Hubud chose to really honor and deliver this theme today is through education. So they start with education with an individual, and then they go into families and then community building. So why are they starting with the individual? Well, logically, for someone to buy a co-working pass and have a long-term pass at Bali and their Hubud co-working space, they first needed to actually be prepared, right? To move abroad, they would have quit their job and they would have to be kind of warmed up to this idea. So it's actually a great way to actually for them to be going backwards in the timeline of their avatar and to really be solving problems that are really needed to that person in today's world, right? Meeting them where they're at instead of just selling things about the future. So doing so, what they've done is they've had to re-educate people, professionals, how to repurpose their skills in a digital era, right? Most of us don't know how to do work beyond the role that we've been hired to do. They've had to learn how to teach people new skills, to be ready and prepared for this new modern day work that involves technology, right? And most likely, education on unlearning all that trauma that you've experienced in corporate prison, right? You're still reeling through that trauma, aren't you? And really unlearning the limiting beliefs, right? People get when they're in traditional education systems. So they do this via things like webinars and skill shares, think tanks, incubated events like Startup Weekend, where people can really start to experiment and test out these newfound skills in a safe place, okay? The second piece of education that they also invest in is families. Right, Renee's having an AMA this afternoon about nomad families and world schooling, so you guys might want to take a visit with her. But individuals come with families, right? We come with families, and if we do not come with families, we're thinking about having one. So one of the struggles that their profile of person has is having to choose, right? I know I didn't want to have a family because I thought I had to give up my career. Right? How can you bring children abroad? This wasn't a thing that was going through my mind when I was living in Vancouver. So a lot of people like me feel that they have to choose between these two paths. So they had to answer the call for that question as well, to be very relevant to the choices that people are making to live abroad. And lastly, one of the biggest things that Hubert invests in is community building, right? Teaching people how to curate their own community. Because even though we're corporate escapees, we kind of miss the water cooler talk, don't we? We want to collaborate. We want to still bounce ideas off people. We want to bitch about our days a little bit. We don't want to be lonely. This is the thing that we don't want to do when we choose this lifestyle. So, Hubert really spends the time to really do offline and online activities to ensure that people are collaborating, people are finding contractors and project partners for their new ventures, and even co-giving projects like getting all that accumulated pool of talent of people and solving problems for local communities in Bali that they're now, their co-working spaces in. So I really believe when Hubert kind of started doing these things, rather than beating the drum of their co-working space, how beautiful it is and how fast internet is, they really kind of in a way punched above their weight. And I say this with full respect, Renee. Hubert's only 2 to 3 years old. They are the newest kid on the block. They don't really have this whole world brand that some of this WeWork and other brands that are out there, right? They don't really have the most expensive co-working space in the world. Some of their stuff is, somebody's breaking down. It can be hot in certain places, right? But what they were doing is they were having a different conversation in the industry, a conversation that other people in their competitive, world, in their industry wasn't having, and really telling a different story, a story that leads people to their products without it being kind of the obvious thing of just buying the co-working pass. And because of that, they've attracted people like the CNN, BBC, the Telegraph to actually send people to visit these places because they knew about co-working, but they didn't know about the lives that were being transformed because of it. So that's a great story, very newsworthy story. And because of that, they've really, really gotten into the press and become known as Silicon Bali these days. So what a great way and a great example to show that you can really stand apart with what you do, even if there's other people doing what you do. And most of us are probably doing something that other people are doing. So you can get clarity on your decisions, on things like the day-to-day stuff that you should be doing in your work, right? Whether it's media outreach, even your copy, what you're posting on your social media, what your marketing strategies will be, from really knowing this core theme. And so it's going to help you to know what to create next, right? Not just trendy stuff that's out there and keeping you distracted, but what should you be creating next based on your theme? It's also going to allow you to know who are the collaborators, who are the partnerships of people that you need to recruit into your community in order for them to kind of help you get there and not doing it by your own. And really, a very important piece is learning how to speak to the tribe, how to connect and attract the tribe of people who are really going to get the vibe behind your body of work. So on a personal level, one of the most important things for you to really understand your body of work really is that it's going to help you consciously decide on your next big thing. So I want to show you another example of not an organization but an individual, because most of us here are solopreneur brands, right? We're working on our own. We don't have a big team. How do we approach this kind of with the same formula? So this is Claire, a good friend of mine and a client of mine as well that I've helped start 2 startups, and I'm really proud of her because she's really maintained her core theme, and it's good to see it come to life. So Claire is a former journalist, and she's a writer, and she's from London. So for over a decade after she graduated Oxford, all she knew was news pitching, and all she knew was journalism, right? So Claire kind of knew that even though she had a burnout and she didn't want to work in that industry anymore, she wanted to keep utilizing these skills. She liked her skills. They paid her well. But she also soon realized that when you change who you help, it really does infuse a new life into your craft and really make things feel more meaningful, right? So after removing herself from writing headlines and angles for people like oil companies and probably organizations that don't deserve a newsworthy headline, Claire decided to go back for who she calls the underdogs, right? Innovative startups and grassroots entrepreneurs deserve more credibility in the world. So she helped them get in front of a public audience. So she launched her first startup called The Story Scientist, a remote, actually the world's first remote PR agency that helps startups and entrepreneurs really get known and visible in the public world. But it wasn't long until Claire really also got that itchy feet, because she's got a bit of a serial entrepreneur spirit, to want to create something else, the next big thing for her. And in order to maintain that sort of tie to her theme, she had to really maintain that heartbeat that is already beating through her work. How can she continue to help innovative startups and entrepreneurs thrive and get better at what they do with not much resources, right? Startups don't have a lot of money or time. So she started Start Me Up, which is now an internship placement agency that places university students who want to be wannabe entrepreneurs into those very startups that she was helping in the first business. Really maintaining that line, again, of work. So leveraging that community she's already built, leveraging the context of people that already trusted her to become these host companies, she really developed kind of a new angle of her work, right, to deliver her body of work, not just affecting those startups and innovators, but now this new generation of entrepreneurs that would have probably traditionally went into a corporate job, and now giving them hands-on experience on the ground working for a startup in the tropics. I mean, how amazing. I wish I had that before I spent a decade in corporate, right? And everything aligns with her story. The story when she started as a journalist, saw the misconception and problem in her industry, and now knew better, knew something else to back, right? Everybody loves a good story. So in today's modern day career, it requires us to build this brand and story behind our body of work. Because the only way to really create long-lasting value to your customers that goes beyond your products, services, and trends is to create a story and a brand that people believe in and trust. So I want you to think about your business, right? Think about how can you tell a different story in your business? How can you stop selling the sausage and sell the sizzle? The sausage is really, like for Hubert, the co-working passes. That's the thing you do. Everyone knows that. It's obvious. Or copywriting. That's the thing you sell, right? But the sizzle is really the transformation. The benefits that goes beyond that service or the product it provides. It's a common value, this common inspiration that your audience shares with you. That's the thing you beat the drum of. And that can be infused with your personality, right? With values that you use to create the next things. All your combination of skills that you're going to use to create these things. I mean, there's no one like you. That's the only thing that you can rely on when you have competitors. Everyone might create something you create. You might be in the same industry, but nobody else possesses something, and they cannot duplicate these things, like your story, your experiences, and your combination of skills. So you want to use that as your secret weapon to really stand apart. Okay, so think about your content. What are you blogging about? Your about pages. How much do you tell people about your story? The social media posts. Is it just always, but wait, buy now? Or is it really leading people through a story and a value system in order to buy in that kind of bigger win for them to buy your products? So your best asset is you, right? So whether you are a product-based entrepreneur or a solopreneur brand, having a body of work really allows you to build this ecosystem of a community and values that are instilled to create the next product. And really, at the end of the day, these products are aligned with your theme, so you know what to create next. Really much easier for you. And when it's easier for you, you're going to make it an easier time for you to say a hell yes to certain things and a hell no to all these kind of distracting, shiny object syndrome of what might be a trend, but not really helping you really pursue and build this value and positioning around your body of work to last you a longer kind of game in your industry. So a brand will outsell its products. Right? So for example, an Amazon product that has built a story and a brand behind their product, rather than just relying on the platform to sell, just for them, they have created a community that has a buy-in right? This sort of subscribing to not just the product, but the values and mission this company has. So something very familiar that happens in Amazon, a competitor comes in, does one thing differently, prices it down a little bit, and all of a sudden your revenue stream changes. What do you do then? Do you have to keep kind of competing on cheap prices? That's not the way to go. So having a brand is going to allow you to have that. So even a brand like Apple, Steve Jobs is long gone, but his body of work, his collective work since his garage days, his message, his story, all blends into the brand that Apple has today. Right? And even when they create like duds, I forgot the name of the computer that was the desktop that didn't sell in the 90s, people still were waiting, at the edge of the seat for the next thing. It's okay to fuck up because they believe in more than just your products. And as a solopreneur, right, what is great about having a body of work is that you can have those multiple projects, that variety that you crave, right? Like Claire, having different projects that seem like different vehicles, but has a common undertone behind those projects. And a really great example is Chris Guillebeau, right? Started off as an author, the $100 startup, but I bet he didn't want to be that one-trick pony of being an author. So following his nose down the rabbit hole of what his body of work will be, he created the next thing, the World Domination Summit, where these guys met, right? 7 and 7, and created 7 and 7 from that summit. And he even has these courses on his website where he doesn't even teach them themselves. He has other people teach other things that again flows into helping his audience really learn new skills, think out of the box, and live better versions of their lives. So doing this, he was able to create a community, his own ecosystem of followers, subscribers, and purchasers and partnerships that he can just go there and quickly find collaborators right away. So having a body of work allows you to have opportunities that are far beyond what you're creating today. So I repeat, the first thing is that you need to decide. What do you want to be known for? So since we are here on the last day with almost 100, right, of our colleagues today, I want you to use these networking breaks, these happy hour, half drunk tonight, to instead, of talking about what do you do, what's your business, I want you to use it as a testing ground to really experiment with how you express and describe your body of work. So you want to help each other out, okay? So instead of what do you do, what's your business, I want to challenge you to ask these other two questions instead. Or ask one of them, but two of them you're feeling frisky, okay? So the first question is this. What pisses you off in the world right now? And that is a really great question to ask because what we know that we rant and rave about very often can really give us the clues of that frustration, that gap in the market where we feel we can introduce something different into the market, what we believe can be true for people around us and for ourselves. That can give you, again, a clue for that body of work. The second question is, why do you want to make people's lives, or how do you want to make people's lives meaningfully better? As they describe that descriptor, help them kind of listen to particular words, the way of a theme that's coming out that might be kept repeating. Help them define that for themselves. And as you hear it back, tell them what you hear, right? And if you do it for each other, you help each other out, you're going to also be able to get closer to your body of work from that process. Can I hear a cohesive capiche to try those two questions? Okay, awesome. Okay, now go do it.